This trend is going to catch on with other migrants and get really bad if it's not corrected now. Now, guys, while we're all concerned about these wars overseas and the possible threat of a nuclear war and all of the crazy nonsense, there's a lot of things happening within our own countries that we're not paying attention to. Now, here in the United States, the migrant problem is a big problem like it is in other countries. But here in the United States, in Denver, migrants, I was going to say criminals, but they probably are criminals because a lot of them broke the law getting here. But anyway, migrants in Denver made demands. So they have an encampment by somebody's street or highway, and they submitted some demands that they want met in order for them to shut down their encampment at this location. The encampment is at Central Park Boulevard. I guess it's an overpass, and they're hanging out under it and camping out under it. And Denver, I guess mayor and PD wants them to leave, but they're not leaving. So they had these demands that, before I get into the demands, because we're going to go over these demands, this is what happens, guys, when you have liberals and Democrat run a city. Instead of just telling the cops, yo, steamroll this fucking place and get them the hell out of here, they're like, okay, let's listen to their demands. Now, I told you guys this before, that they were making demands, especially here in New York City, when the 100 or so, or maybe it was 1,000 or so, West Africans showed up at the City Hall a few weeks ago making irrational demands. They wanted jobs, they wanted work visas, all this other crazy shit. And that was just a march on City Hall. This event that's happening in Denver will definitely catch on, especially if they get their way. So if their demands are met, undoubtedly, you're going to see this same kind of terroristic movement, if you will. And terroristic is not a word, but you're going to see this kind of movement throughout the entire country. You're going to see illegal encampments all over the place, and you're going to start seeing them hand over mayors or demands to the mayors saying, hey, this is what we want, or we're not going to move. If you live on the underpass, and the underpass is not a place you want to be because of pollution and all this other crap, and insects and rats and the whole 9 yards, as the mayor, I'm like, you got two options. You could stay here until you guys get eaten up by the rats or an infection, or two, you can leave peacefully. Because the third option you're not going to like. That's me as a mayor. I would be an asshole as a mayor when it comes to shit like this. I'm like, yo, get off the streets or we're going to make you guys pay for it. And of course, I can guarantee you, I would bet my paycheck that these migrants are using the kids as a shield so that PD doesn't steamroll over these people. But anyway, let's go over their ridiculous demands. These demands, guys, for them to be met, if they are met, the migrants will move into the shelters that they are trying to put them into. So the city's trying to put them in shelters, and the migrants are like, no, we're going to stand our ground and stay here in this encampment underneath a roadway, whatever it is, in Denver. So be it. But these are their demands. 1, migrants will cook their own food with fresh, culturally appropriated ingredients provided by the city instead of pre-made meals. Rice, chicken, flour, oil, butter, tomatoes, onions, etc. Also, people will not be punished for bringing in and eating outside food. 2, shower access will be available without time limits and can be accessed whenever. We are not in the military, we're civilians. 3, medical professionals will visits will happen regularly. Referrals, connections for specialty care will be made as needed. All will receive the same housing support. This is number 4. All will receive the same housing support that has been offered to others. They cannot kick people out in 30 days without something stable established. 5, there needs to be a clear, just process before exiting someone for any reason, including verbal, written, and final warnings. 6, all shelter residents will receive connections to employment support, including work permit application for those who qualify. 7, consultations for each person and family with a free immigration lawyer must be arranged to discuss progress of their cases, and then the city will provide ongoing legal support in the form of immigration document clinics and including transportation to relevant court dates. 8. The city will provide privacy for families, individuals within the shelters. 9. No more verbal or physical or mental abuse will be permitted from the staff, including no sheriffs sleeping inside and monitoring 24/7. We are not criminals, and we don't want to be treated as such. 10. Transportation for all children to and from their schools will be provided until they finish in 3 weeks. 11. No separating of families, regardless of its family members have children or not. The camp will stay together. 12. The city must schedule a meeting with the mayor and those directly involved in running the newcomers program ASAP to discuss further improvements and ways to support migrants. 13. The city must provide all residents with a document signed by the city's official in English and Spanish with all of these demands that include a number of calls to report mistreatment. There is something wrong with this country. And there's definitely something wrong with Denver if they give in to these demands. If they give in to even one of these demands, this is going to be a problem. None of these demands should be met. Now, are these unreasonable demands? Yes and no. Some of them are very reasonable, some of them are not. Letting the city pay for all of their food and they want culturally appropriate food. If there are 80 different nations in this camp, we're supposed to pay for 80 different nations' foods? Somebody will argue, well, they don't have work, they don't have a way to provide money or bring in money to provide that food for their family. Fair enough. Eat the pre-made meals until you can get a job. Now, these people, the work visa thing, guys, is starting to become a more constant demand. The sheltering is more constant demand. The food is a more constant demand. Those three things they keep throwing out there with every group of people that have been staging these events all over the country. Now, this is the first of its kind in the United States where they have an encampment where they won't leave, and they gave a demand list to the mayor. We'll see this in other cities, but like I said before, that happened in New York. You had those 1,000 West Africans who were not the same demands. They just wanted a work visa. Now, I get it. A lot of these people want to work, but you came here. We didn't ask you to come here. So you cannot demand things that are not owed to you. A work visa is not owed to you. Work permits, whatever you want to call it, is not owed to you. You came here, you broke the law, you crossed that line illegally. Nothing should be afforded to you. Now, people are like, but they came here for a better life. They're not getting a better life. Apparently, if they're complaining constantly, if they're setting up encampments away from the shelters that they were given to stay in, they're not living a better life. So go back to your country and take your shot over there. Take your chances in the country you came from, because apparently you left there to come here, but now you're not getting what's afforded to you, what you think is afforded to you. Go back to your country. Simple as solution. As the mayor, I'd be like, I look at the list and I laugh. I'm like, ha ha ha, you stupid migrants. You're going to have to take your ass back to your country. Because if you're complaining about things you're not getting, it's not owed to you. You didn't deserve it. In fact, you broke the law to come here. So with that being said, they should address that, number one. And number two, you want your work visa, go through the regular steps, or the normal way as everybody else does. Now, I know they can't do it because they're here illegally. Such is life. Then go back across the border and apply to come to this country the right way. Coming here illegally, breaking the laws, climbing a fence, crawling under barbed wire, whatever you did to get here, and then wanting shit up front. That means anybody else, guys, who is here legally, a migrant who's here legally, who did all the paperwork to get here, they're here in this country, they're getting a work permit, they have to wait too. So that means you want everybody else, you want all your peoples to jump the line so that you can get a work permit and a visa. It doesn't work that way. If Denver gives in, and they will, because they're a democratic city, you're going to see this problem nationwide. You're going to see encampments, and you're going to see guys holding up buildings, or migrants taking over buildings or shelters and going, we want this, we want it now. They have to nip this shit in the bud. And there's only one way to nip it in the butt, and nobody's going to like it, because you know what I'm going to say. Steamroll the fuck out of these people. Get them out of their encampment by force. A couple people get hurt, so fucking be it. You got to teach them a lesson. Because the lesson is, if they give in, the lesson's going to be, oh, we can get whatever we want. We'll just do what we want and make demands, and they'll give in. This is what migrants are learning, and this is what they're going to start doing. Anyway, guys, this is the Angry Prepper. Thank you for watching.